Okay, so I was trying to figure out what shirt I wanted to wear while doing this album review, and I was trying to think of something like the cover that I could kind of wear. Not like the guy on the cover, but like the color of the album, not the guy. Come on. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin, and welcome to the album review of Yes's Going for the One, which was released in 1977. Of course, if you've missed it, you can listen to all my first listens to each of the songs on this album as well. And let's just get right into my album review. This album was actually the first complete Yes album that I've listened to. I've heard a few other songs from some of their other albums, but this was the first one that I actually listened through completely here on the channel. And this was the perfect album for me to listen to. The first song that I heard was Turn of the Century off of this album. Thank you, Mark, by the way, because it was that song actually that really got me interested in the band, that really captured my attention. And then after listening to that song, I just decided to, you know what, let's just go ahead with the rest of the album. And I'm definitely very happy that I did, because this album is so perfectly accessible to a new listener like myself. And it's funny because just a few years earlier, their previous album Relayer was released, which is just a whole nother abstract piece of music, piece of art. I love that album. That's a fantastic album. But how completely different it is from this album. Whereas that one is more abstract, more avant-garde. This one's a little more straightforward, a little bit more accessible, while still retaining the things that make Yes, Yes. It's also on this album that we have Mr. Wakeman back on the keys, which is a welcome return. Not that Mraz was bad, but it's nice to have Wakeman back because he fits right in. And thinking about their previous album with Relayer and how challenging that album was, and they really pushed themselves on that album. It's interesting to read what John said about this album, really quick, if I can grab my paper. He said that this album is kind of a celebration. He says, any musician should be given the chance to extend his horizons, and luckily we've been successful enough to do so. But generally, we think of this as a more eventful album. We've come back to a happier medium. We needed to relax a little while, a little more laughing and jive. And can I tell you, that is this album perfectly summed up by John. It may not be necessarily as musically challenging and pushing the boundaries and the limits as an album like Relayer, but there is a sense of relief on this album. There is a sense of a band that has pushed those boundaries as far as they could and then wanted to relax a little bit, kick back and enjoy the music and just have a little more fun. The opener of the album, Going for the One, is one of the best openers I have heard on an album. That song, from the very beginning, every time that I hear it, I'm on it. Like, honestly, every time that I hear the beginning of that song, I'm ready to listen to the rest of the album. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, boom, 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 boom. How just nails it on the opening along with Squire and White. It's just a fantastic kickstart to a great album. It's a superb entrance into the album. It's high energy. How is just going crazy on this one along with Squire. Listen in the back, by the way, the next time that you listen to that song, listen to Wakeman and all the subtlety that he brings to that song. As high energy as it is, he's doing a lot of work. The drumming is powerful and moving and passionate. It's a charismatic song with a jagged and rough bass line. And I don't know how you cannot move or feel something to that song. That song is just pure energy, no doubt. Throughout the song, we get a little bit of insight into what the band would later do on the album, like in songs like Awaken. We get a little climax that is just as uplifting as the climax in Awaken. So it's just a little preview of what's to come. Turn of the Century. Like I said, that was the first song that I heard from this album, and that was the first one that really caught my attention and really actually grabbed my heart a little bit. It's this powerful, emotional song, led mostly by John and Howe, and what an amazing job do they bring together. What a beautiful combination of music that they're able to bring. A powerful story of love, having love, losing love, and trying to regain that love. How the sculptor shaped his love, and then how that stone in return shaped the sculptor. It's a radiant song that beams hope with nice light percussion sounding out, especially closer towards the ending of the song. And how Squire and Wakeman do a great job of really bringing that emotion up to the forefront, especially as John pours his heart out. Now, Parallels is a song that I didn't really like too much on first listen. I didn't really like too much on second listen. I didn't really like a lot on third listen either. But on subsequent listens after that, I didn't like it. Don't think that this is a change of heart, but it did grow on me and I did understand its place in the album. While I think that it is a good song, it has great structure, there's a lot of good things about it, the same criticism that I had on my first listen of it is the same criticism I have on this one, which is, as much as I love the organ, I love the way that they've used the organ throughout this album, it's just a little bit too much on this one. It does work better than when I first listened to it, and I understand it a little more, but it still just overpowers what could have been a really nice song from Yes. It's like when you make steak and you're seasoning it and you're trying to get the seasoning and the flavors just right, and then after you're done cooking it, you taste it, you get your first bite, and there's just a little too much salt on it. It's still edible, you can still eat it, your wife will still eat it, but it's you know, next time you gotta back off on the salt. That's how I kind of feel with this. Organ is a bit overpowering, but it's not necessarily too, maybe it's a little too much. But we know that in the break, Squire and Wakeman go off, and I love the way that that break sounds. I would have just liked a little less of the organ on that particular song. Other songs, perfect. Wondrous Stories is a beautiful song that I think captures really the innocence of discovery, the innocence of that wanderlust, wanting to travel, wanting to search for something, searching for meaning, just exploring. And I think that that song is so captivating in the way that it does that, with beautiful harmonies that echo and ring out, just like someone singing from the mountaintops as it rings throughout the rest of the valley. This is a song that captures that idea of exploration. The idea of, you know what, I see this thing that I want, and I'm gonna go for it. Kind of bringing this theme back to the title of the album, Going for the One. What are you going for? What are you working towards? Why aren't you working towards that dream of yours? This is my dream, I'm working towards it. I'm slowly working towards it, but I'm working towards it. What's preventing you from going for the one? Because it's not going for the two. There's one, that's it. In this song, Wakeman really shines on the keys. They are just magnificent. The way that Wakeman plays on this song with the keys is just magical. Really playing into the idea of this weekend of wanderlust. And then we get to the best song on the album. We get to Awaken. I mean, can I say it again? The best song on the album, Awaken. This song is so good that I actually find it really hard to talk about it because it's near indescribable. If you want like the breakdown, go into the other video, the one for Awaken, my first listen. That's my breakdown. That's it. So I'm only gonna talk briefly about it because I've said all I can say on that video. This song captures the perfect use of that organ. And the way that they tied in the organ from the church into this song, that's studio magic. That is amazing, the way that they brought that together, I believe through a telephone wire. The whole band has this perfect ebb and flow that tells you that they've been through this road before. They've made songs like this before. But can I tell you, the way that they move here shows experience, it shows relaxation, it shows freedom, and it shows in the music. As I said, the organ use in this song is perfect. Not only for that climax at the end of it, which we'll talk about in a second, but for the solo leading up to it. This is just a magnificent song, a great showcase of how to use such a well-traveled instrument and bring it into a more modern era while still retaining what makes it special. With how the guitar sweeps in and it has this beautiful solo that's so mesmerizing and hypnotic, it lulls you in, it brings it down, it gets you ready. And then little by little, the music begins to rise once again. We get to the climax, the organ swells up right behind, slight pause, bang. That is how you make a climax. You guys saw my reaction in the first listen of that song, but that climax will give me goosebumps every single time that I listen to it. It is one of the best climaxes I've heard. Choir, the organ, Squire, Hal, White, John, everyone is just perfect on this one. And for as big as the resolution to the song is, as grand and grandiose as it is, it never becomes too much. It never loses touch. Awaken is just something special, okay? In case you couldn't tell, this is another album that I really like. I really enjoy pretty much every song on this album, at least on some level. Are there a few things that I would change? Sure. Are there a few things I don't really enjoy? Yeah. Is there perfect use of the organ and then a little bit of misuse with the organ? In my opinion, yeah. Either way, it's a fantastic album with 5 great songs to capture you. But let's talk about some other things really quick. Let's get to my favorite lyrics, my favorite moments, my favorite songs, and all of that fun stuff that I know you guys are waiting for. I'm gonna move here to the side so I can put the graphics and the words over there. Favorite lyrics on the album. Now, sometimes I say like, this was the hardest thing I had to think of or whatever, but this was the hardest thing that I had to think of for this album. The other two came relatively easy, but the lyrics I found really hard just because of how well written this whole album is. All of these lyrics are very profound, they're very impactful. I mean, I could choose any song and find a set of lines, and there's some great meaning in those. And they're so poetically written while still being very personal. But I have to go with Awaken, more specifically, the ending of Awaken, in which these lines bring the album to a close. Like the time I ran away, turned around and you were standing close to me. Like the time I ran away, turned around and you were standing close to me. I think that those lyrics are so inspirational. Sometimes when you run away and you're looking for something, sometimes when you're chasing something, sometimes when you're exploring and trying to search for something, sometimes that thing is actually right behind you. Sometimes, oh, hey, I was looking for this chapstick. Sometimes the thing that you're trying so hard to find and you're going through great lengths to find it is right behind you the whole time. And I just think the way that he delivers that, especially at the end of Awaken, after that big moment, yeah, beautiful. My favorite moment in the album. There's a lot of great moments, really a lot of great moments. I love the ending of Going for the One. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. I hate to be predictable, but I think you guys know what I'm going to say, and that is the ending to Awaken. That big moment, that climax. Oh! The way the organ pushes it over the edge, that slight pause right before the bang, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And then finally getting to my song ranking, which on my first few listens I thought would be easy, and you know, it kind of changed a little bit as I got closer to my final listen. Not that I'll never listen to the album again, but my final listen before the review. So the top song is Awaken without a doubt. The next song, Going for the One. Those two are on my playlist. I love those. I can listen to those anytime, absolutely. The next two songs are actually tied for the same place, and this would be Turn of the Century and Wondrous Stories, and then the album ends, for me, with not necessarily the worst song, but a song has to be the worst one, with Parallels, which, like I said, it's a good song buried beneath an avalanche of organ. My final thoughts on the album are, this is the perfect album for someone new to Yes, like myself, to be introduced to. The songs are accessible, they still retain what makes Yes, Yes, and they still explore enough that you would be ready for their perhaps past works, and maybe even future works, not feature works. Only 5 songs, but it's packed full of goodness. I don't believe that there's any filler in this album. With its uplifting nature, this soul-reaching lyrics, and stellar musicianship, I think that this album is near perfect. Near perfect because, like I said, there's a little bump in there. I've already said it, but there's a little bump in there. But I do think this album is really fantastic and a great introduction into Yes. For myself, it's not their first album, nowhere near, but for someone new like me, it's definitely a great foothold. I hope that you enjoyed this video as well as the other first listen videos for this album. If you haven't watched those, it'll be in the playlist along with this one. And you can go back and watch my first experience with those songs. If you did get this far and you enjoyed the videos, please press like, share the video if you think anyone else will enjoy it. Of course you can subscribe, that's easy, you know that. And then if you'd like to, you can also donate to the channel. It does help me out in getting some of these out a little quicker and get some more equipment so I can make these a little easier to edit and record and all that stuff. Like right now, I'm using an old tripod and my treadmill is actually open right now. I'm waiting to get a new tripod so I don't have to, oh, you don't, no, look, I'm gonna grab it. Look, I'm gonna grab it. This might mess up, by the way. Look, here you go. Oh, this is probably horrible. Look, it's on a treadmill. I'm using a treadmill. I'm using a treadmill as the stand, so I can make this kind of stand upright. Anyway, let me try and put that back. Did that come back right? Okay, it's close enough. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. You can absolutely join me down in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the album. Let me know your song rankings, your favorite moments, what lyrics hit you just the right way. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a great night, a fantastic evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.